Aloha, friends and neighbors. Welcome to show 900. Yes, 900 weeks I've served you. Rollin Frost here, Kona Astrologer. Hope you're doing okay. You're coming up on a new moon here. It's quite nice. I'll show you on the sky mirror. Some of you know that I went to Rollin for my solar return, which is the day after my birthday. For most of you folks it is. A lot of you older ones. Solar return, well, the sky goes around once on that day, goes around in the year. So what happens on your solar return kind of tends to happen on the year. So I take it real serious. I was over there in Rollin, Nevada, kind of a mini Las Vegas, and I was there to escape a nasty solar return here and try to keep body together. So it's much better for me over there. Rollin, I recommend to you. It's a small place on the Colorado between Arizona and Nevada, close to LA, and there's 6 or 7 hotel casinos there. And so what happens is I took 2 sons, and Matt and with me, and that just makes my day anyway. But we had a hotel room with a balcony 2-3 floors up, and we got into this nice room and looked out there there were these birds around the swimming pool below us on the balcony. They looked like road runners, but a little smaller. And they realized they were watching me, so I threw them a piece of granola. They loved it. So I was playing with these birds over there. Then I looked out on the Colorado River, and there were birds all over the river diving for little fish. And on the bank there were birds across the way, kind of seabirds or something. I walked down towards there, and there were mallard ducks all over the bank. Next to the hotel, yeah, on the hotel ground. Beautiful mallards. So, upshot is, accidentally, my solar return was full of birds. So I get home and I forgot the whole thing. And then all of a sudden I begin writing and finishing up the story of the raven. The alala. Amazing species, unique to the world, that I'm intent upon helping. A companion bird is the nene, the goose, and the gander. Turns out Hawaiians cherished these birds greatly. Turns out there's more to the goose than you can imagine. So then the next peculiar thing that happened, is this old book. It was all nasty and dirty. I had to wash it off, warped a little bit. This old book popped out at me. Turned out to be Konrad Lorenz. And when I was young and in school, I really wanted to go into animal behavior. I wanted to be the naturalist who went out and took movies of wild animals. That was my great love. Of course, everybody said, no, Frost, there's no money in that. You got to go do science, engineering, blah, blah, blah. Wound up in chemical engineering. This guy, Konrad Lorenz, was my hero. He's the granddaddy of all animal behavior. The year of the gray-lag goose. Number one, if you're going to do anything, like all those folks on Kauai are trying to move nenes around, the nene, the gray-lag goose looks an awful lot like the nene. In fact, aside from a little marking on the head, looks like the same bird. Probably the gray-lag goose is the ancestor of our Hawaiian goose, the state bird, the nene. When I was doing research on the alala, I talked with one of the folks at the bird sanctuary helping the raven. And when I mentioned the nene, the Captain Cook had talked about the nene, and Captain King said, oh, there's geese in the yard. There's geese in the yard. We didn't see little ones. We're not sure. They didn't bring them in from the wild, but they geese in the yard and a raven in the house. 2 bird friends Hawaiians kept for 1,000 years here. All the other birds are gone in the great die-off when the Hawaiians moved in with those animals they brought. And it was a bird paradise, you know, before people came here. And then a white man came in. A lot of the Hawaiians died of disease, and the raven and the goose had to move up into the wilderness. That didn't like them. And now the predators were after them, and the nene survives in just a few places. But if you're going to do anything with the Nene, you've got to read the book, The Year of the Gray-Legged Goose. It's full of pictures. Professor Lorenz is a wonderful writer. It's entertaining, and you will learn about geese. And that's what I'm going to do today, share some of that with you. A little more on the raven, a little more on the goose gander of the Nene. Anyway, the young man who was over at the shelter said, "Oh, you mean the Nene was a pet, was domesticated? My goodness," he said, "the old man will love this." Well, the old man was the local grandfather of ornithology here in Hawaii. He had just retired. He had been, the young man told me, he had, all his career, the old man had said the Nene looked like he was a domestic bird. Nobody believed him. And here I have proof. Captain Cook, Captain King's journal. So these two were domestic. Hawaiians kept them as friends, companions, partners in their homes and on their farms. And I'm out to give them a hand now because they're caught in these federal laws, and we're not helping them the way we should right now. We helped them out great. We got a few, they survived. We got the little ones, we're raising them. The second step is to put them back where they belong, in the homes and farms of Hawaiians and others, where they can be near people again. These are people birds. They love people. Anyway, I'm going to do the sky mirror the first week in March on show 900 and devote the rest of the show to sharing with you some I've learned about the goose. Professor Lorenz says in this book, next to the dog, the goose, the wild goose, is man's best friend and loves people and is more like people than any other animal except the dog. Same emotions, same loyalties. Yes. If a gander loses his loved one to they just go into a slump and their health suffers just like a man, just like a dog. Anyway, let's go do the sky mirror, and then we're going to get into some birds, because I am possessed by the spirit of Nene, and I'm working hard on writing all this up and helping these two birds, who are both amazing animals, unique in the world. So, sky mirror, first week of March, then we'll get into the birds more. And another thing Professor Lorenz said, he says, when you watch these guys carefully, they play eye games. And most of the animal behaviorists, he said, agree that birds play eye games. If you're interested in communicating with birds, you got to watch their eyes. Little things they do with their eyes is a big language thing for birds. I didn't know that. Conrad Lorenz, the year of the gray-legged goose. Come on, let's go do the sky mirror. Hey, what's coming up in the sky mirror? What's coming up for you in the next 10 days? Let's take a look. Now, if you're on the Thursday show, that is on February 27th, in the morning the moon went by Mercury, and Mercury stops in the sky and goes direct. In fact, there's a whole bunch of planets are stopping. And when they stop in the sky and they reverse direction, they really don't change direction. Just here's Mercury, and he goes around the sun the other way. He appears to go this direction, and he's over. Anyway, it's just an illusion, but that's what's important. And Mercury stops and goes direct. For 3 weeks before this, you've had to go do things twice, call twice, letters returned, go back to the store. Yesterday I went back to the store twice over a silly ink cartridge. Here's Mars. Now this is the 28th. So this is Friday morning at 4 a.m. So you're very close to it if you're watching the Thursday night show. Get up Friday morning and your mind will be kind of clear and calm. Mercury, the winds of your mind stop and they go forward. Now, for the next few weeks, Mercury's going over ground he already covered twice before. So this is a good time for me to work on my central document about Alala Nene, and I will. Mars going retrograde. Mars stops on March 2nd. and Saturn stops on March 2nd. Now these two are a pair, and they don't. They are both concerned with money. Yes, and Mars is concerned with protecting it, and Saturn is concerned with conserving it. So there's going to be a lot of that around March 2nd. Oh, finally, here's a goody guy. Jupiter goes direct on March 6th. Now, March 2nd is Sunday, but March 6th is Thursday. Next Thursday for you, it's a week away. And when Jupiter stops in the sky and goes forward on the 6th, it's just the opposite of Saturn. Saturn says, save your money, yes, save your money on the March 2nd. And then Jupiter on March 6th says, spend your money. You might see some ups and downs in the market during this time. Anyway, it's kind of an interesting time with 1, 2, 3, 4 planets stopping in the sky mirror, all within just a few days of each other. So reality is going to be kind of dense here. And if you're in there Thursday morning or Thursday, you're doing Mercury stuff. Yes. Mercury goes direct Friday morning. Wow, thoughts, words. Hey, maybe some of you guys would like to help me with some of these writings I'm doing. Anyway, Friday, the moon's in Pisces. And reality is about to change for a month. On every new moon, that's what happens, is it sets the tone for the next month until the next new moon. Now, the last new moon you had was in Aquarius. It sextiled Uranus. And you had lots and lots of brotherhood and New Age stuff and startling information and revolutionary, go into the Aquarian age and be free. And democracy of some kind. Now what's happening is you got a new moon Friday night. And that new moon is essentially on Neptune, and it's in Pisces. Now this brings you back to the old guard. Brings you back to, gay rights and oil companies and religion, art, music, and all this movie stars. And this one trines Jupiter, so there's a lot of hoorah here. And it also sextiles Pluto, so there's a lot of power and control issues that are going in favor again of these folks. But, I'm not a great fan of movie stars. A little tiny kid, I could never figure out why they aggrandize movie stars. He's acting. He's a player. And yet we make him real special. There's something fishy going on there. I think back in the old days, horse and buggies, people didn't have much respect for actors or show people. Well, enough said. So what's happening on this new moon is that it sextiles Pluto and gives power and control. It trines Jupiter, and there's new information and wonderful new awareness and truth and honesty. It makes a 30-degree angle to Uranus. The heck with the environment. We don't care about that. No. What's important is the music, the church, we're back in the seat of the deniers of climate change and stuff for a month, I'm afraid. However, for you, it could be a very nice new moon. If you've got a lot of planets in water or Earth, well, this new moon has a trine to Jupiter and a sextile to Pluto. Don't mess with the technical stuff. It's not good for technical things. Twist the connector. But it's really good for your higher love planet, Neptune. It's really good to develop sensitivity. Sit down and read some Jesus. And whenever you read heaven in the New Testament, put sky in. That's what it was in the Aramaic. And you'll see Jesus was talking about astrology. Well, Friday, new moon. Starts in the morning, middle of the day, moon goes by, Neptune in the middle of the day, and you could feel a little lost, a little foggy, a little off balance, or you could have religious, artistic enlightenment and sensitivity and a bigger awareness of colors and music and things too. Yes, and it goes on. It's a good time to be with somebody you love because the new moon is there after dinner, and gee, it's kind of a lovely moon, trining Jupiter, a lot of optimism here. So I hope your new moon Friday night, the 28th, is good. Mercury's forward, you can communicate. It continues, right? The vibes go through Saturday the 1st here. And in the evening, we have a trine to Saturn and a sextile to Venus. So here's some sweets. This could be conventional pleasures. Saturn's very conventional. So, but it is pleasure, it is fun, it is reward. It's a pretty nice Saturday night. May I say that whoever you were with Friday night, you should go out and have some fun Saturday night. And moon's still in Pisces. Sunday, March 2nd, wake up, the moon's in Aries. It feels kind of jangly and jittery because Sunday night, the moon's going to go, this is late, this is 10, 11 o'clock, midnight. The moon's going to go by Uranus. But, you know, it squares old Pluto early Monday morning. It squares Jupiter in the evening. So Sunday gets increasingly tense. And there's more and more problems over battery's dead. Oh, the connector's no good. Twist the connectors. Bang the thing with the hammer. It's always in the connections with Uranus. Well, here's your freaky, you know, it was Tuesday and worked it back to Monday. Now it's down to Sunday night where you hit the Uranus-Pluto square, huh? And Jupiter's involved. He's going to pump it up and make it louder, get in the way of a lot of stuff. What's this? Lawyers, rich people blocking environmental efforts, not helping the people. And what's this? Pluto, the police, the investigators, the prosecutors squaring Uranus, blocking revolutionary movement. You know, get them homeless off the streets right now. Well, I'm sorry. I'm a little skeptical that much good will get done Sunday night or Monday morning. But by the time you get to the middle of Monday here, on the 3rd, there is a sextile to Mercury. And Mercury stopped in the sky, remember? So a lot of stuff could get done here. Unfortunately, Saturn and Mars, you know, have stopped, and they're really strong here on Monday morning. But listen to the kids. Think about what they would do. Yeah. Now, Monday night, after dinner, around dinner time, here's a square to Venus, and there ain't no satisfaction, and there's no sweets, and nobody feels loving. As you go through Monday night into Tuesday morning, people get more aggressive. Because basically we have a Mars here, Romeo, squaring Venus. And Mars stopped in the sky, you know, he turned into a horny old goat, and Venus doesn't like it. And so Romeo and Juliet are not getting along, and you're going to see that Monday night and Tuesday morning. And Mars especially could get in trouble here Tuesday morning because he's right next to the South Node, which sucks up a lot of nurturing. So you could see some athletes, some heroes, soldiers, people like that need help here early Tuesday morning. About lunchtime, before lunch, the moon slips into Taurus. The whole ball game changes. Here's a sextile to Neptune. Here's sensitivity in the heart, and higher feeling comes out. Here's sextile to Jupiter and the last new moon in Pisces. So a lot of new information. Aha, now I see it clearly. Comes out late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning. This is 2, 3, 4 in the morning even. Get up early. Yes, it's nice. There's discovery Wednesday morning at breakfast with the trine to Pluto. The moon trines Pluto. And then there's a sextile to the sun. You've got a plan. You're going to start getting stuff done. Hooray, what a nice Wednesday. Feels pretty good. Right up until you get to Thursday morning, the moon's still in Taurus. And it hits the opposition to Saturn. Look out, there's ice. There's not enough time. When there's delays. Yeah. Restrictions, limitations, a little depression. It'll go by quick, though, because look at that. Here's Venus. There's a Venus trine. That's like 2, 4, 5 hours later. So stay in bed Thursday. It's going to be cold in the morning. But here, you know, as you approach brunch, there's a trine to Venus, and there could be some nice moments of sweets here. In about the dinner time here, the moon switches into Gemini, and right away there's a square to Neptune. It gets more and more confusing. You get late Thursday night, early Friday morning, the moon squaring Neptune. Confusion, delusion, problems with liquids. Turn that music off. There's some brotherhood pops up here in the middle of Friday. There's a sextile to Uranus, but it's not as strong as it was during February when we had the good new moon sextiling Uranus. Brotherhood bloomed in February. It's not going to do that so much in March. Sorry. Anyway, there's Friday, and it gets increasingly more frustrating as you go into Friday evening and early Saturday morning. Here's 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. There's a moon squares the sun. You can't figure out what to do, and you have no ambition, and the heck with it. Here before lunch, around the middle of the day, there's a nice trine to Mercury, however. Remember that Jupiter went direct back here on Thursday? Yeah, so a lot of optimism. You'll see that really early Wednesday morning, I think, when the moon hits that Jupiter thing. But so, things are looking up. And even though you can't get a plan together Saturday morning with the moon in Gemini, you could have good communications around the middle of the day, listen to the kids, write things down. You got a lot of Mercury power going here. And then Saturday night there's a trine to Mars. Now Mars stopped on the 2nd. That's only 6 days back from here. And so you've still got Mars power. Get out and get things physical. Do some sports. Fix some stuff. Ask the kids what they need to get fixed and then fix them. Sunday, on the 9th of March, the moon shifts into Cancer as soon as you're up. And it starts with a lovely trine to Neptune. And all through Sunday morning and into the middle of the day, there should be some music and religion and art. And I hope you enjoy it. Go look at the colors and the butterflies and the birds. Lovely birds. Colors. It all works pretty good till you get to late Sunday night. And there's 10 degrees of Cancer. The moon goes by Jupiter. We all want to expand and laugh, and it's all so loud. Wait a minute, here's a square to Uranus. The amplifier's on. Somebody caught it on TV. Whoop, there's an opposition to Pluto. The NSA, the police are watching. Eek. So this is very tempting here to let go of things. But here's your Sunday night again, Monday morning, see? And we're back in that square, that Uranus-Pluto, and Jupiter's setting it off. So you can stick your head out the window and say, I won't put up with this anymore. That kind of thing feels good about now, but try to stay out of trouble Sunday night. And that's the way it is in the March of 2014. When I was a kid, my dad, who was an Iowa farm boy, that went into mechanical engineering, used to shout out in the yard when my little buddies were out there, "What are you birds doing out there?" It's one of his favorite sayings. "What are you birds doing?" It's like you had chickens and ducks and geese. You had to watch what those birds are doing. I'm not sure this is a picture of a real raven, because I've seen pictures of them, the real old, taken years ago, and their claws and their hands are really gnarly. They're big, and they've got all kind of extra protection on them because this bird climbed around in the underbrush, and around the Alala raven's eyes there were feathers all around it in a circle, and these feathers, they stuck out, in a way that, that's weird, till I realized this bird evolved climbing around in the underbrush, and when a stick or a twig came right at his eyes, these backward growing feathers all around his eyes kept it from going in his eyes. So the raven, and they were big, these are big birds, had very special, unique adaptations to living in Hawaii. A wonderful bird, very high IQ. Smartest birds in the world are now known to be the ravens. The crows are smart, yeah. A lot of people don't know the difference between a raven and a crow. But if you're driving off to Vegas or Laughlin and stuff, well, Vegas has that highway, you'll see pairs of ravens searching through anything thrown out of a car. And they're at the rest stops. They move in close to man and start working the McDonald's garbage cans. We don't have them out there in Hawaii. The ravens pair off, huh? So does the goose. They pair off and they stick to their partners forever. Now, Now, there is a long history of ravens as pets. Quote the raven, nevermore. There's also a long history of the goose. Here's Professor Lorenz walking along. They started off to study the beaver at the Max Planck Institute and made friends with wild beavers and studied them. And then they got into wild boars, and then they found that the goose showed up. And this looks an awful lot like our nene, and probably was the ancestor. But wild geese in general are very much the same. As it has stated in the book, next to the dog, it's man's best friend. So there's a long history of the goose. There's watch gooses. The geese were very famous on the farm, and famous to be the companions of people. Professor Lorenz says here, in my conversations with laymen, I frequently say animals are less intelligent than you are inclined to think, but in their feelings and emotions they are far less different from us than you assume. And it turns out this is a courtship, and these geese fall in love, they partner off, they have occasional divorces, they have all the same dramas as human beings do. And if a goose loses his master or his partner, they grieve like people, like dogs. Yes. Turns out that, isn't she beautiful? You can see eye talk, huh? Here's a gander. He says, "This is my lady." And over here, here's the rival trying to seduce the girl, and he just blocks him. And this good, these guys, most of the gander goose pairs are very, they're real loyal to each other, but some aren't. And they have real dramas, just like people. The worst fights that ganders have is over the women. Up here, they have a special bony thing that sticks out. And what they do is they brace it on one wing, grab the other guy by his neck, and then they pound him with their elbow. You can hear these slaps city blocks away. They're so strong they break necks. So ganders are nothing to fool with. No. They're vulnerable at night. Their babies are vulnerable. That's why Captain King didn't see him in the yard. But these are tough guys, so you don't mess with big ganders, huh? No. Professor Lorenz talks a little bit about crow and raven. Says they're magnificent animals, but they're kind of the enemy of the nene or the goose. Human beings, the rat, the pig, the dog, wiped out the birds when the Hawaiians came in. Then the white man came in. Ooh, boy. More later next week. Come back then. Aloha.